We're starting with this. Okay, so you guys just finished writing your literary analysis essays, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And with those, you guys pulled quotes from the book.
Yes,
in those
ma'am.
essays. What did you guys use those quotes for?
Evidence.
Citations.
Evidence to support your claim, right?
Yes.
Okay, so with your argumentative essays, you're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be finding research, you're going to be pulling quotes, and you're going to be using those quotes in your essays to support your claims.
Wikipedia.
Does that make sense? So with that research, you have to make sure that the research that you're doing is credible. So today we're going to talk about what kind of criteria you need to check in order to make sure that your sources are credible. Okay, we're going to start with a short video. Kind of funny, it's about 3 minutes long. You guys don't need to take notes on this part.
We don't?
Not on this part.
So, how are you doing? Okay, can you feel my hand? Which finger am I touching? This one? This one? Can you squeeze my hand? Are you all
You're
right?
fine.
Are you all right?
Let me see your arm.
Do that.
I was checking that sometime.
Good. I'm worried.
No, I just Chris is over here like, let me tell you how to
Yeah, I'm a doctor. If you guys ever need any medical
Hello.
advice,
Welcome to the West Deep Pier Library, dude. Wow, I can tell that you really understand me. I bet you can help me on the research project that I care so deeply about. That's right, sucker. You ready for this library to drop some knowledge on you? Yes. Oh yes, pretty please. Enlighten me. I noticed that some of your web sources are not, how do you say it in the hood? Credible? Yes. I believe that is what we call it. In the hood. Neato. Well, as you know, there is a whole world of information out there online, and much of it is questionable. I'll give you a few tips to evaluate websites so you use good, credible sources in your research and avoid the bad sources that will make you look like a total loser in front of the peeps. Yes, that would be highly embarrassing. First, you want to find the author of the website. Does he or she provide contact information? Is the author a professor or an expert on the subject? If you can find contact information, or if the author is not an expert on the subject, then you can use it. This is fascinating. Please keep talking to me. Next, you want to check the URL to determine the source of the information. .edu are published by educational institutions. .org are non-profit organizations. .gov are government institutions. .com are from commercial businesses. .mil are military organizations. And .net are from network providers. Wow. This is truly earth-shattering. But whatever would I do with that information? Great question, dog. Once you know the source of the information, you can determine the purpose of the site. You want to ask yourself if the information is bias-free or can you clearly recognize the bias? Is the purpose of the site to share facts, or does it seem to be more opinion-based? I can tell that this is exciting to you. Let's continue. The next step to determining credibility is to check how current the information is. Try looking for dates when the page was last updated. Also, check to see if the other links on the page are still active. If not, you might end up looking like a total noob. Are you done yet? That should be all of it. Just to review, check for an author, see where the source comes from, verify the purpose of the website, and check for timeliness. Now you're all set, so I better let you get back to your research. Next time I'll teach you how to dance just like me.
feels really good for work. When you spend 4 years in an animation class and you all
And the hood.
You guys need to get ready
And
to
the
go.
light breezy.
Jim from the office looks back at the camera.
Okay, does anyone know what something like this is called? Letters. What you like the first letters? Acronym.
See?
Yes. So this 5-letter acronym are the 5 points that you need to check your sources to make sure you have the credibility that they need. First one is currency. Currency as in date, not as in money.
I got that money.
The second one, relevance. And then authority, which is like who the author is. And then accuracy, so the accuracy of the information. And then the purpose, so the purpose of the source, or the purpose of the journal entry, whatever it might be.
So you're telling me I can't just look up anything on Wikipedia?
No,
What about WikiLeaks?
probably not.
Wikipedia is low-key reliable.
We're gonna talk about that.
Anybody can change whatever.
Oh, wait,
can we
okay.
go back to the last slide? Just like,
You have to have email accounts, so not everyone.
Not my grandpa.
okay, you can just.
I see the last one.
Okay.
Who's recording?
Okay, so the first one, currency. This means that you have to determine that the date of the publication is suitable. Usually that's going to be about 10 years. So the research that you guys are doing right now should be no later than 2009 for the publication date.
No later than 2000.
Yes, like you don't want anything from like the early 2000s, from the 90s. That stuff is going to be kind of out of date.
For writing about the time, the 90s and the 2000s.
There will still be information out more recently than that. Are there any specific examples that you guys might think where date would be more important? Yes. So politics,
Medicine.
medicine. Yeah, exactly. What else?
What's your question?
What specific areas of studies do you think that having a newer date is going to be important?
Oh.
Archaeology?
Probably the opposite.
Weather, like, what's it called?
Population. Population. What about technology?
Yeah.
When you're doing research on technology. Because even what's out now from 3 years ago, huge difference. So you especially don't want to be doing research in technology from like 2001.
That's smart trash.
Got that TI-84.
That's smart
Okay,
trash.
and then the reason why you don't want to do that is because outdated information might be inaccurate. So like what you said with medicine, a lot of medical research changes all the time. So the newer the information, the more accurate it's going to be. So like cancer research, they know more now than they did 5 years ago. And when you're finding research and putting it into your writing, you want it to be as accurate as you possibly can.
So essentially, any type of scientific like research and stuff has to be kind of.
That's why they call it practicing medicine, because you never know.
Research period.
Anything that changes a lot really fast with technology, medicine, that kind of stuff, you want it to be as current as possible. What are some areas that might not be as important?
Anything else?
Reading.
Reading, yeah, literature studies, because someone's analysis of Shakespeare is still going to be pretty relevant. Are you guys good on this slide?
No. Right, you can go on now.
Okay, relevance. So this is your second letter of your acronym.
Wait.
What would you do?
What? You sat there for like 5 minutes.
Come on, God, we're dealing. Come on, Justin.
Okay, so with relevance, that's going to be when you determine how applicable the information is. So does the information matter for what your research topic is? And with this, you need to be looking at who the audience is. So do you think it's intended for the general public, the moderately informed, or experts? You're going to be able to determine that through looking at the language. So if it has really elevated language, it's probably going to be more geared towards experts than just a general audience. Yes, like the news. The news is going to be more geared towards a general audience. But if you're reading an academic essay, it's going to be a little bit more elevated.
Like for your professor,
Yes.
Hello.
gonna want to use this vocabulary for.
We are contacting you because we get credit card information. I hate it when people call me and they're asking about my credit card information. but I
No,
don't have
that
it.
person was just like, your car insurance is about to expire.
Oh. Can we move on?
No,
Oh, never mind.
we're being idiotic.
You mean arrogant?
No, idiotic.
Are you guys good?
No.
Not yet?
Shut up. I don't care.
You good? Okay, third one, authority. So this is when you look at who the author is. So the author, the creator, the publisher, and through that you can kind of determine how accurate the information is. So one of the biggest places to do research where you know you're going to have accurate authors, but more specifically is going to be peer-reviewed journals, peer-reviewed articles. Do you guys know what peer-reviewed articles are? Yes. So peer-reviewed articles are written by experts and reviewed by experts. So they're going to be the most accurate source of information for you guys. Yes?
Can we go to sites like Yelp?
No.
What the?
I don't understand really like.
We'll talk about what's accurate and what's not.
Yelp is all opinion based.
Okay.
So with the author, when you look at that, a lot of times when you find sources, it will give you the author's information. So it'll tell you if they're a professor at such and such college, or if you're looking at something like New York Times, you can see the author and you can see their credentials and what they've written before, and you can kind of determine how accurate they are by the credentials that they have. You guys good?
Hey, but you're saying though, cannibals don't like people that are.
Okay, before we go to go on? Yeah? Alright, next one is accuracy. So this is where you look at the reliability, truthfulness, and correctness of the content. To do this, you're going to do a couple things. You can look at the other information you found. If this one source has really outlandish claims, probably not as accurate if it's going against all of your other information. But also, you can go and you can look at where the author and the publisher got their information from. So a lot of times they will have their sources cited, and you can go and look at those. And if they're getting their information from other credible sources, it's going to improve that article's credibility. And then you're also going to look at the academic language. If it's emotional, objective, or professional, the more professional, again, is going to kind of go in with the peer-reviewed. It's going to make it a little bit more accurate, a little bit more credible. Things that are a little bit more emotionally charged, it's going to have a little bit more of a bias, going to appeal more to your emotional senses. Probably not as accurate as something that's professional. Any question?
Over the essay, yeah. Is this gonna be like, we get to choose our own topics, or are you gonna give us a list of topics or stories that we have to
There
research?
will be a list of the topics, and if you don't prefer any of them, then you can write your own objectives to be approved.
Oh, so it's not related.
So what's like the area of
Or you
the
have to-
what's like the area of the topic?
Remind me about Donald Trump.
Are you guys good on this one?
No.
One more after this.
No, talk about how great he is.
Oh, hell yeah! That's what's up.
Build the wall, build the wall, build the wall.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
The door.
That's like saying.
Kill, kill, kill.
Right, you go KK. No, I said kill. Oh.
Never said shh letters.
I'm sorry, but communism is the best ever.
Communism is fun.
Communism is the
Okay,
best.
we're good to go on? We got one more slide to take notes on, and then a couple more to look at. Okay. All right, so your last one, purpose. And this is where you determine why the information exists. So you're going to look at why you think the article was written. Was it written to inform, teach, or entertain, or persuade people?
All of the above.
Some might be, but the peer review that we talked about, those are going to be, the purpose of those is to inform and to teach. If you're looking at something like a blog post that isn't as credible, probably not credible at all, that's going to be a little bit more to entertain or persuade. When you're looking at purpose, you also want to look for the author's bias. An author has a bias, it makes them a little bit less credible. So where are some places that you think an author might write biasly?
Wikipedia.
Politics.
Abortion.
Oh, you mean like topics?
Yeah.
Said Wikipedia.
But even with peer reviewed, if you're reading a journal article written by an Ivy League professor, and the article is about why you should go to Ivy League college or the benefits of an Ivy League college, it's going to be a little bit biased because that's where they work. So you just want to keep all of these things in mind when you're checking for credibility.
The entertain with the eye.
Probably not. I probably spelled it wrong. My bad.
No, because I thought it was an actual word too, so I had to ask first.
What?
I was about to Google it. Me too.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I absolutely just stepped in front of your topic.
You're good.
I didn't realize it was a
It's fine.
There's a
Shut
phone.
your face.
Oh, heck.
I don't know where I am. Grab help.
Are you on drugs, Lane?
Low key on LSD.
I have scurvy. Oh, fucking give me those Skittles so I don't have scurvy.
You good?
No, I have to write.
Give me an orange.
Okay.
You know those Skittles are the best Skittles?
Okay. Is everyone else scared if we go on?
Yeah.
Broken taste buds.
So here's a list of
If
the
it was, I
most
would have
credible
still said it.
sources and some non-credible sources.
I'm taking a picture of that.
So your most credible, like we talked about, are going to be peer-reviewed articles. These you're going to find on databases. Your school probably has access to those. I know at Wichita State we have access to a lot of them through the library. So you want to find peer-reviewed articles. Then the articles written by academic professionals kind of tie into that. The reason why these are so credible is because they're written by experts in their fields. And then government and education websites, those are going to be the ones that are, have .gov or .edu at the end of them. Those are going to be credible. So if you're looking for information about a specific college, going to their college's website, .edu, will get you the most credible information. And then there are some credible news sources out there. So New York Times, the Washington Post.
CNN.
No.
Yeah. Those will have some credible sources out there, but with that, you really need to check for bias. Because all
Bias stores.
yeah.
CNN.
So with those, you have to be really, really careful about bias. So if you're looking at them for a political thing, probably not a good idea, because it will be biased.
Anything
The news I watch are from sports news
basic
channel.
statistics.
Okay, and then non-credible sources. Biggest non-credible source, don't ever use it, is Wikipedia. Why do you guys think Wikipedia is not a good source?
Because anybody can post anything on there.
Exactly. It's not checked by you, it's not regulated. But with
Why is it always the top
Wikipedia,
research on Google when you ask for something?
because a lot of people use it.
Because people believe anything on the internet is real.
With Wikipedia, if you find an article that you might think would have some good information, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it will have their sites or their sources cited, and you can look at those. Those will be more accurate than Wikipedia itself, but you never want to use Wikipedia as a citation in your paper.
Cool, because if you go to Wikipedia, that's the first thing you click on. You read it, and then you write some notes down. You go to a different website, you can put those notes.
You got it all figured out.
Wikipedia,
But mostly I
and
see
it's the same, that's what makes me use Wikipedia a lot. And every time I do that,
It might have some accurate information, but in general, it's not going to fly crediting Wikipedia in your papers.
history.com,
Okay. Another one that's not going to be credible is personal blogs. Why do you think personal blogs is not going to be a credible source?
they're funny.
Because they're biased. Can I go out and create a blog?
Sure.
Why is
Well,
it boards, not what's on code?
We'll talk about that. So if I go out and create a blog about hockey, do you think it's going to be accurate?
It could be.
It could be. You might play hockey.
Okay, I don't play hockey.
Okay.
So, no.
I know a lot of
But I could go out and do that. You guys could go out and create a blog about anything. The information is not going to be accurate, and there's a really good chance it's going to be biased.
If you had something hockey, you can probably.
But, yeah. Social networking posts. So, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr.
I see them shoot.
They're going to be biased. A lot of those can also be emotionally charged. So a Facebook post can be emotionally
They be so
charged.
real though.
They're just not going to be factual.
How are you gonna make a Facebook post that's facts? Oh, now.
When they put facts on it.
Only
Straight
reliable.
facts.
Big facts. Only reliable social media is Snapchat, and that's because it's in the moment.
Okay, and then the last one that you want to be cautious for are websites ending in .com or .edu. And they're not absolutely no-goes, but a lot of those can have paid advertisements, which can create a bias, or they just are not going to be as academic and professional as government or education websites.
I thought EDU was for education.
.org, like organization.
Wait, so .com, .edu, and .org?
.edu is good. .com and .org are bad.
I'm trying to figure out who told me that.
Like, an org.
What is .com?
There is sources. I'm trying to figure out.
Commercial.
Oh, I thought it was
I don't know what that means.
Remember that internet?
Okay, now we're gonna look at a couple of different sources, see if you guys can see if they're accurate or not, or credible or not.
Clutch this.
Yes. No, wait, no.
Oh,
Log it in.
YouTube is a no-go.
YouTube is the
Alright,
best.
so this is an article written by Dave Ramsey. You guys know who Dave Ramsey is?
Gordon Ramsay's brother.
I've heard of him. Yeah. So he's like a finance guru.
Doesn't he have like a
No,
that's-
I don't think
that's
so.
Gordon
on
Ramsay.
Shark Tank.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Dave
not
Ramsey, he's written books on like financial self-help and that kind of stuff. He's like a self-proclaimed financial expert. Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
So this is a article on is college worth it?
Let's look at the
Not really.
author.
Okay. So
So down all
Build
the
a wall
way
from
to where it's at.
I've seen that one. What is
Yeah.
that?
what is the date? Do you guys see any date on here?
No.
No,
I get
is
the
that an
bottom.
immediate red flag?
Yeah.
Do you see?
I see the ad, yeah.
Do you
I see
any
numbers and statistics.
author
I see
listed?
the
I see
.com.
numbers.
No,
I see
it's-
statistics.
At the bottom. I see bolded words.
Maybe.
Let's go all the way to the bottom.
43% doesn't it? It's just
Oh, yeah. Different.
Liability.
Girls,
a little bit. Corporation.
Is it liability?
He doesn't have to because it's his
I
website,
don't
right?
see anything. That's.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't it be him as the author?
Mm-hmm.
So like,
But which source
that
did
ma-
you use?
is that bad?
He's an expert, so.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
he's
a self-proclaimed expert.
So he's biased.
So he's not an expert.
Yeah, there could be some bias. So what are your other things that you need to check for?
There's no date.
No date, so
All you
author.
gotta do is look at the reviews.
What about bias? Did you guys see in here how it presented both sides? It had the pros of going to college and the cons of going to college.
It's not biased.
So it's not as biased because it has both sides, but the fact that it's from a financial expert,
I mean, it's not worth it if you don't want to be in debt.
I mean, the majority of this article focuses on the financial aspect of going to college.
Yeah, like if you
But not
talk to
the
a financial
experience.
expert, then you go talk to a professor that's teaching at a college, they're gonna have completely different views. So the person that wrote the financial document, the person that wrote
It's
the.
not talking about the experience like that. It's talking about.
Money to.
So do you guys,
Throw it in.
using the 5 things that we talked about, do you guys think that this is a credible source?
Shut up, Lane.
No?
Colonizer.
I say no. .com and the
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not gonna be your best bet for finding information. Okay, look at a couple more.
If different like sources have like the same information, then can I say it's a credible source?
Probably not. I would use one of the other sources that has that information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I do the Wikipedia. Go to Wikipedia, look it up.
Alright, so this is like a screenshot of what you guys will see if you look at a peer-reviewed article.
That is very credible. College.
Yeah. So this is another article I found about is college worth it? So let's look at the criteria. Do you guys see things on here that are going to help with the credibility?
Spring 2013.
Big word.
Yeah, a summary of it.
Summary.
Yeah. So the date.
Director.
And
It's
they
gonna be
offer a
one of the
PDF?
easiest things to check for is 2013 in your like acceptable time limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right here where it says Princeton Volume 23, Issue 1. This is the journal and the volume and the issue that this was published in. So it's published in the Princeton Journal.
How do you know how long is the all over stop date? These are 2009 to now.
Yeah. So just 10 years from wherever you're doing your research. Does that make sense? So in 2020.
One breath away from falling down.
Okay. And then these are your authors listed. You guys listening? These are your authors. And even though this is a picture on the actual website, you can click on these and it'll bring you to their pages of their information. So you can see where their credibility is.
So we can contact them.
Probably if you wanted to. I don't know if you want to. And then another good sign that this is going to be credible is the abstract. Abstract is when you write papers in APA format, which is like a collegiate level format, you have to write an abstract at the beginning, like that summarizes your paper. Move this over. Photograph. It's colored birthday. Okay, so look at your guys' other things.
So in this format, do you have a summary at the end of your life?
It's just another
No.
format, right? It is hard.
You have a complete
And that's what you're gonna be writing.
Okay, so do you guys think that there might be any bias?
It has a limit.
There's more than one.
There's more than one author. Yeah. So what about the fact that this is about higher education and it was released by Princeton?
It might consider, it might,
Maybe a bias?
yeah, because it might,
I mean, nothing's without bias.
advertise going to high school like this.
Yeah. Okay, so what other aspects do you guys need to be looking for? What about purpose?
Factual.
Oh, if it's to inform or
Yeah.
to teach someone about the thing.
Okay. Hey, we're still going. We got one more to look at. Okay, one more.
Is it credible?
Do you guys think this is credible?
Yes.
Do you think it's more credible than the Dave Ramsey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys use this?
That's fine. It's the same.
So that's your criteria for credibility?
Would you like a bag?
Okay, got one more. Jimmy, is that your water? Give it to me. Can I drink all of it?
Sure.
Is it cold?
One professor says no bias, no different one.
Is this zoomed in?
One professor says no.
You'll know that the way.
I got the whole ocean.
I can drink that whole.
Where? I got the whole ocean.
Okay, so this last source is from Washington Post. So it is a news source, but Washington Post is going to be more reliable than like TMZ.
Well,
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure Justin Bieber was eating that burrito.
Okay, so let's look for the 5 points of credibility for the article.
More credible because
Justin Bieber was
they actually
fake.
Okay, so first off,
Looks like a buzz.
you find author and date.
yes.
It's really close. It's kind of ugly though.
Yeah, so the date is good. And then the author, that is a hyperlink. You can click on it and it will pull onto this page. And here it will say
Contact Miss McAndrews.
Oh, that's an ad. You can't use it.
article. He's been writing since 1988
Miss
as
McAndrews.
the business editor. So this will show you his credentials. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's an expert, but it'll kind of give you some more information on if his work is relevant or not.
A business and economics. That's an ad.
Oh my god, that's a pop-up.
Ad number.
Another one.
So, what do you guys think about ads? You think that
No,
makes
I know that.
credibility?
It
It can.
Morgan, did you think Worcester?
Because it says one professor says no.
Is it true? Like, stuff that you look up on.
I thought Morgan would feed my fish.
Not.
Or we mother a fish.
Okay, so what other criteria besides author and date do you guys need to be checking for?
Legitimacy.
Authority.
So that's author.
Uh,
Besides author and date.
Currency.
bias. If it's bias.
What their credentials?
Bias. Do you think that this might be biased?
Heck yeah.
Democracy.
It's definitely
Because it's
biased.
only talking about one individual person.
So if you read this
One
article,
professor.
it is an interview with one individual professor. Do you think that's going to create some issues with bias
Yes.
and information? Yeah.
Washington Post.
Yeah, big red flag. So it might have a credible author and it might be in your date of research,
Yeah, but
But it's biased.
but it is going to be biased.
rude ass.
Just get legal life.
So you guys able to see the difference between
How
credible
long
and
did it take you to
non-credible?
find these?
5 minutes. They're all on the first page of Google. These two sources are on the first page
I
of
bet you
Google.
would compete with
The
the numbers one when you
article,
start
that
these up.
the picture that I showed you guys,
I bet you would
that
compete with
right before this one, do you remember that? I did that through like Wichita State Library, and that took me
South America?
5 minutes
Oh,
to research and find. It's just like a different search base than Google.
Yes.
But these two websites that I showed were like the first two hits when I searched Google.
So like, why does it Google use ones where, why doesn't Google do like the more like, I don't know, credible like sites instead of having
So
Wikipedia?
there is,
A
you're
lot,
Google
dude.
Scholar.
10.
Google Scholar is kind of, it's like an extension of Google that will get you more credible sources. You can find
We're
the
talking about the
academic
government.
articles on there, but a lot of times it will limit how much you can read of them. If that makes sense, you have to like buy them or pay for them to read the entire thing. But Google searches alone probably won't find you
I'm
that.
gonna say, every time I search something on Google, Wikipedia is nearly first.
Isn't there a way to like, when you first type something in, and then like all the websites pop up, can't you see like do that with more like reliable?
Well, usually it'll have like
The
the
dot
URL.
org and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
Okay, got one more slide. Yes, you don't need to.
That won't be first.
Okay, so we're gonna fill this out.
Currency.
Currency,
C.
relevance,
Current.
authority, accuracy, persuasive,
What's the R?
purpose.
Relevant.
Okay, first A.
Authority.
Smells like what?
Accuracy.
Purpose. Craft.
Yeah. So your acronym. These are your 5 criteria that you guys need to be checking for. You guys get the difference between reliable and not reliable. What do you think is going to be the most important thing to check?
The date. Date, author.
Relevant.
Author. Author is going to be a big one. Who published is going to be a big one.
Date.
Date kind of depends on what you're searching. Bias is going to be big. I mean, these are all really big, but I personally think that authority is going to be like your biggest thing that you need to be checking for if the author knows what they're talking about. Okay? Any questions?
Come with her, yeah.
Man, purpose is the biggest because it has to do with
You guys got it? You know what you're looking for? Okay. Sweet.
amazing.
Out of all the student teachers, all 4, 15